Here, son. Oh boy,
Martinez looking for that air raid crash. We saw her deliver it to Rhea Ripley, and tonight she puts away Casey Catanzaro.
Just a minute. We have the winners already, but I'm not gonna tell you. So there will be no spoil of fun. But enough of that. Creative director of Manila Wrestling Federation, and also a musician at his own right, Mr. William Elvin Manzano will go one-on-one with the brutal one. Rock and roll, baby!
The team of Aaliyah and Mercedes Martinez.
Oh shoot! I'm still continuing watching, waiting for Ripley and Blackheart to appear. You know, Rhea Ripley, one of my favorites. Whether fan favorite or before that one, she was a heel. And yes, Shotzi Blackheart. I still got a long way to go to know these ladies. Yeah, I know Rhea Ripley like last year, or was it 2018? Yeah, 2018. Shotzi Blackheart, I heard about of her adventures within the independent wrestling scenes before, and then now she's on NXT. But enough of that. We're gonna get it on with Mr. William Elvin Manzano. No related to Edu Manzano, ha? Seriously, no relation. Well, cameraman, zoom. Alright, this is the brutal one, Rolando Alejandro Zamora, right here on one with the brutal one. And on this video, Facebook video chat, kids, one of the co-founders of MW and also creative director and also a musician at his own right. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is William Elvin Manzano. So, Will, say hello to the audience who's gonna watch this on YouTube.
Hello, I am, sabi nga ni Mayor, I am William Elvin, creative director and one of the head writers of Manila Wrestling Federation. I just want to correct you, I was not one of the co-founders of MWF.
Ah, okay. Okay, got that.
That's Mr. Lucha Robinson and Commissioner Shannon.
Former Commissioner Shan, yes. So, sila yung tatlo
But-
talaga.
Yeah, but I was one of the founders. Whatever they say, I was one of the founders of another thing another thing we're gonna talk about. So it's gonna be an interesting episode. It's gonna be an interesting ride with me and Mayor.
Yeah. Alright, now. Without further ado, let's get on with this one. So, una sa lahat, nasa Hong Kong ka ngayon, di ba?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
how's the situation there? I need to know on what you've seen every day as of late.
We are working from home
Mhm.
mostly. Hindi ganun kadami yung cases na tumaas ng mga maybe more than 100 last week.
Mm.
But it went down to about between 30 to 60 to 70. I think nung isang araw 69. So hindi ko pa nababalitaan whatever. So nandun na siya sa medyo bumababa na siya ulit. It's our third wave. So I guess malapit na rin siyang umokay sana. And everything can get back a little bit to normal here at least. But syempre dyan sa Pilipinas medyo matagal-tagal pa. I hope everything gets
Yung bus
better.
Pinas. Oh, Diyos ko dahil. Sa Hong Kong, may ilan sa mga friends namin ng family. Also yung my mother's side, mga classmates niya. Some who are no longer existed several years ago, and some were still there, I'm not so sure. And yes, so we all know na Hong Kong wasn't the same anymore right after a certain controversial bill, yung law na yan na galing sa Beijing and some stuff like that. And I know that you and most others were free thinkers, mga tawag nito, mga pro-democracy and then like that, hindi na magindi yung situation na yan. I don't
Yes.
know na kung nandyan pa rin yung one country, two systems, but it's a very delicate topic. It's like Beijing has a huge plans in Hong Kong. One of the
Mm.
things na yung mga mainlanders, balak nila mang-migrate doon. Although they had to know na sobra ng tao natin to, overpopulated na. You have to agree with me on this, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know what the mainland's plans are. It's not for me to tell.
For safety
The
reasons.
I just not just for safety reasons. I completely don't understand. I don't have problems on discussing things that I know and I understand. Pero the way I see it is just the perspective I have is like my local friend, my friend here in Hong Kong. I just hope that everything turns out good for them, whatever side they're on. So, kumbaga, it's a very tricky political problem, and being an outsider of some sort, it's really not for me to discuss plainly. Of course, parang personally, I love freedom. I love the way we do things, the democratic way. But even though I'm a resident here, I don't live here, and I'm not from here. So, kumbaga,
Gets ko.
I leave the discussion to the ones who are the better position to talk about it.
Right. Anyway, and also, bihira na yung mga rally doon, no? Given na talagang tight security na. And kuto ko malupit yung surveillance. Which reminds me of the recent viewing na sa YouTube. Actually, na-view na yung mga few years back regarding yung ethnic minority sa China, sa Xinjiang province.
Yeah,
Yung mga Uyghur people, I think.
yeah.
Mahanap mo yun sa YouTube.
Muslim. Yeah.
Mahanap mo yun sa YouTube. Medyo, how would you, in my own words, nakakajelote na yung mga situation na yan. Parang balak talaga yung China na i-unite lahat. And then, kung anong may natira pa sa kanilang mga or ethnicity or whatsoever, there's a portion that they might wanna cleanse it. Parang gagawin nilang full-fledged Chinese against their will. Remember, Chinese Communist Party, okay, a Communist Party of China, whatsoever. They've been around for already over a century na, kung hindi ako nakakamali. But what I do know, baka nagformata sila mga way back in 1920, so I had to check that one for a little bit of a historical accuracy. But that
I
doesn't mean
think
the same
70 years.
Hmm?
I think this government is 70 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
They plan to go 100. Parang, ewan ko ba kung alam mo naman way back yung sa mga great grandparents natin. Communism, like that. I can't say kung tama yung narinig ko. Sa ibang bansa nagsimula, hindi to sa Russia. Although napasa to sa Russia, napasa to sa China, and some separate countries, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we're gonna skip that one because medyo out of range topic to. Kasi,
Yeah, I want to talk about wrestling, man.
yeah,
I
yun na
haven't
nga.
done,
So,
I haven't done a wrestling related interview for quite some time. I think
So-
the last time I did it was with Kayfabe Cafe.
Kayfabe
So,
Cafe.
yeah.
Yes, we call it
So I
those
missed
guys. The guys from
Yeah.
Kayfabe Cafe were good friends of mine since nagkakilala kami maybe around 2019, something like that. And I had a struggle to watch one of their episodes by that. Okay, now let's get on with your fandom in pro wrestling. Now,
Sure.
if you're curious kung kailan yung naging fandom ko, siguro pumunta tayo sa old school GMA Radio Television Arts. Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. Apparently, ito yung pang bihira ko nag-note niyan. And then, mga early 90s, siguro na sa grade 1 ako, I kinda naabot ko ata yung The Mega Powers Explode, that's WrestleMania 5. And then, Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 6 title for a title match. And yes, importantly para sa akin, nasosyo ko naabot ko rin yung Hulk Hogan Sergeant Slaughter main event for the WWE title sa WrestleMania 7. Arguably the most politically charged main event in the history of the show of shows. Siguro alam mo
I'm
naman
not
yung
sure.
storyline doon.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yung American soldier, naging turncoat.
Yeah.
Ano,
Yeah.
at the reason of him and yung sino to, si General Adnan, isang Iraqi na wrestler, nag-join forces sila. And alongside si Colonel Mustafa, aka the Iron
Mm.
Sheik, the Persian Gulf War. That's one. FYI, I have the WrestleMania hardcover na 30 years. Ito yung mga history doon. And also yung sa WWE 50, yung it chronicles the first 50 years of World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, speaking of WWE, si Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker, Survivor Series 1991. 20 years ago, let's say, it was over a decade na napanood, parang medyo blur pa yung memory ko. It was on the Attitude Era na abot ko si Taker ulit. Only this time, under his the ministry era or corporate ministry. Up until the unholy alliance between him and the Big Show, which is one of my favorites. I mean, Undertaker, Big Show joined forces. You had any idea what we get there?
Yeah, I was there. I was. That's the peak of my, the peak of my fan base. My fandom rather. Uh, I started. I started watching wrestling really young. Um, uh, I think if I remember it correctly, yung TV ABC5 was showing like pay-per-views monthly. So that was like those were the first shows I saw. But I really did not become a really really big fan until about 1997. I had a cousin, which was one of my best friends when I was a kid. His name is Benedict,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to watch wrestling at his house. And
Ah,
yun, so dun ako naging malaking fan. So the 1997 transition, like the transition from 1997 to 1998, like
that's
when
new
the
generation era before Attitude Era, huh,
yeah,
kids?
yeah. So it started there, and then I just really became a fan. It's like siguro late 1997 until and I started watching regularly in 1997 until about 2000 to
All right.
2001.
Mm-hmm.
So yun.
Hey kids, remember way back then, sa IBC 13 and then ABC 5 under the All Stars Professional Wrestling. But actually yung sa ABC 5 way back then, yung napanood ko, that was WWE Superstars. Yeah, still haven't forgot that one.
Mhm.
And then napanood ko sa Star Sports pa. Pero 2 months apart sila ha. 2
Yeah,
months apart.
Star Sports was the Star Sports episode were like I think a month or two delayed.
2 months
So
delay yan.
medyo delayed yung napapanood mo. Pero when the internet started getting a bit more accessible.
Pero kids
So
ha,
yung ginagawa
dial
namin-
up pa lang yan ha. Dial up pa yan.
Dial up. Oh, the dial up. So ang binabasa namin yung dirt sheets. So may nababasa kaming mga update, and then we wait for the episode. Like even when you know what's going to happen, we used to wait for the thing. So yun. That's how I became a fan.
But have you ever dared to explore, like for example, Japanese puro wrestle, you know? Nakita ko ata yung sa Z channel mga nearly 20 years ago. Pero bihira ako nagnood doon whatsoever.
Yeah, I used to watch yung Z Wrestling channel. I remember that. And
Disney Cable Kids.
yeah. Ano siya, no? Noah. I think they showed 100%.
Not only Noah,
Noah.
All Japan Pro Wrestling at New Japan Pro Wrestling too.
I don't remember. Maybe some other time, but I don't remember watching AJPW and NJPW sa Zira. I remember Noah
Pro
and
Wrestling No, which was founded by the late great Mizuharu Misawa, the
right.
aka the anong nickname nito? Alam ko Emerald yung dahil sa suot niya green Emerald, you know. I remember yung signature trunks niya, okay, ordinary pero at least recognizable. And then he invented some of the finishers that some of the guys in WWE did perform. Some. Pati yung mga divas rin. Yeah, the Emerald Lotion. Yan yung isa sa mga finishers niya. Maganda rin. I had to look for it. It's been quite a while since I played WWE 2K19. PC version, kids.
So, going back, so I used to watch the Japanese thing, there's a Z wrestling, but what attracted me to wrestling is actually not the, and I know guys are going to point this out and people are gonna hate me for this, but what I love about wrestling is not the wrestling. What I love about wrestling are the characters and the stories, and the wrestling is part of that, but and I could say like a lot of people my age, when we used to watch wrestling as kids, we did not talk about wrestling the way guys now and fans now talk about it.
Kasi maalam na sila unlike yung sa era natin. I mean respective era way back then.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask me, and if I'm being honest, I think people are overanalyzing this shit now. But,
Go ahead.
But for me, it's just like, okay, I love the story, I love characters. That's why even now, like in NWF, I don't have a hand in the matches themselves, because it's not for me. I leave it to the ones who love putting together matches, like sila Veronica Shannon,
Yes.
and sila Robin Shane. They're the ones who love putting together matches. I love writing stories, and I love writing characters.
And
So-
it did work to you very well even to this day, right?
Yeah, and thank you for that. So it's like now we're talking about how my fandom started. It's like that. I love my favorite wrestler was Mankind. My favorite wrestler was Mick Foley.
Man, kasi akin Undertaker
Right? And it's sobrang ano, di ba? And I used to hate The Rock because like The Rock was bullying Mankind and things like that. When I was a kid,
Ay, yun!
so
Gusto ko
it's like
bistan yan.
ganon. That's what I love about the whole
Si
thing.
The Rock, yung charismatic bully, he always called Mankind,
Right.
"Your trailer park trash." Trailer park
Right.
trash.
Right. So I saw the people who were bullying me as a kid as yun, nakaka-relate ako kay
Yeah. We went into that one
So
in our respective timeline, and it's
Yeah.
traumatic. But even within us, we can be bullies too. But it may depend if we know what we're doing. Me, I'm not on their level, which is good news. But I'm still not proud of it, so I dare not to go too far on that one. Pero yung iba, yung pagbubullying, masyadong personalan. For unknown valid reasons. Pero yung mga petty reasons, dahil ayoko sa'yo, gusto kitang pagtripan o yung pinaka-common na alam mo talaga. Alam mo na yun, you've been there. You mentioned that one before.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But bullying in any form or case is not good. So it has to stop, and then anyone who's doing it has to stop.
Yeah, even in pro wrestling industry too. Kahit nga PH wrestling hindi na spared. We're gonna tackle that later on, and it's gonna be no host barred because medyo challenging times na ngayon because of COVID-19. And then it was on this COVID-19 na biglang minabulgar na shit. Hindi maganda na bulgar mula sa two female wrestlers from PWR, which we're gonna tackle later on. Right now, we're gonna get on with who introduced you to the original core group made of PWR guys? At the time, yung nagsisimula pa lamang.
The way I remember it was, So I was a wrestling fan, of course, and part of the online community. So I was looking for Filipino wrestling fans, and the first, I can't even remember how parang ano parang na-discover akong Facebook group, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
And the first friend I made was with Ace,
Yes, Canto Terror.
with Canto Terror. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's a
So
year older than me, and this guy knows shit. Anything
yeah,
that's
yeah,
from
yeah,
wrestling and some cool stuff. Because he's an
yeah,
80s guy like me, except
yeah,
na he way a little bit advanced. So I got nothing but love and respect for the man behind Canto Terror. I mean Canto
yeah.
Kilabo Terror whatsoever. Alright.
Without Ace, oh sorry.
Well,
Without
Ace.
Ace, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without Ace. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be here without Canto Terror.
Hindi lang
And
si Ace. Hindi lang si Ace. We had to give credit to Frankie 13 too.
no, yeah, I was about to. I was about to go there. So I went to the online group, and sila Frankie 13 were already there. So yun yung core group. I know that sila Frankie were the ones who started it, and
Mm.
so I think I went in a little bit earlier than everyone else, but I was not one of the first ones there.
Ah, yes.
I know that sila Ace and sila Frankie were there, and then everyone else just like um, came in um, until we start discussing things. And at first, like I didn't know how serious it was. I had like ideas on how I would want to form something like that. You have to consider that when this thing happened, I was already a professional theater artist.
Mm.
This is 2011, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. I was already doing professional theater plays. I know how to run a show. I've already directed theater shows. I've acted in theater shows. So I was one of the more experienced ones in terms of like putting together shows or live events more than anyone else. So I guess
Mm.
like everyone saw value in that. So they welcomed me into the group, into that. And I remember like my closest friends when we were starting out were OL Babata.
How old Babasa, formerly from Philippine
Yeah,
Wrestling
yeah,
Revolution.
yeah. So that's my core group of friends then. Um, Also Bombay Suarez.
Yes, Mark
I
Bombay
think
Suarez.
Bombay was the one I saw first personally. We met at Shangri-La.
Mm.
So yon, siya yung una kong nakita personally, and then everyone uh, I met everyone personally in Classical Brian Leo's house
Oh,
in 2013, so mga 2012 na.
sa Manila ba?
No, not in Manila. He was still in Quezon City that time, if I
Ah, okay,
remember
I
correctly.
see.
Eh, I couldn't be, I will never ever forget that night, because that's the night when um so pumunta ako dun sa bahay ni Classical Brand Leo, right? And everyone was already there.
Mm.
Uh so pagbukas ko ng pinto, may dumaan na tricycle driver, so tinamaan yung pinto ko nung kotse ko.
Oh shit.
So tumaob yung tricycle driver. I had to give him like 500 pesos for that, for the damage to his
I
tricycle.
see.
So I'll never forget that night. And it's like
Mm.
Ion. So that's when I met everyone, and we were just we were just friends hanging out, and we were
Mm.
talking about the Yoshi Jam was like the first Tajiri show
Yun,
when they
yun.
went here. That we were just talking
Mm.
about that.
Yes,
That's
yes,
just it.
yes.
That's just it. If I remember correctly, 2011 and 2012.
Mm.
I don't remember much about it, but it's around.
Alright. Since speaking of Josie's Jam, that was way back in early of 2013, 'di ba? Yung Josie Jam event na
Yeah,
'yan.
yeah. So tama nga.
So, whose
Nung
idea was
nagkita-kita
that
kami,
actually?
2012. I don't know whose idea was that. I think it was uh Reina's idea, and Tajiri's promotion then, Wrestling New Classic. I think that's the idea. They wanted to they wanted to capitalize on
Sure
Shuri
Kondo.
being,
She's
yeah,
half
being half
Japanese Filipino.
Filipina.
Yeah.
So they wanted to capitalize on that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but they did. They just came in unprepared. I don't know. They were contacting us. We were just like young, stupid wrestling fans,
At the
and they
time, let's
expected
say
us
immature pa,
to.
parang mas immature pa ata sa
Yeah,
akin.
yeah, yeah. We were all immature back then. I mean, it's funny because I have, as I said, I have experience on putting together shows. But I had no idea kasi hindi naman ako yung hahawak, hindi naman ako yung ano. So I was asking them what do you need, and they just told us, you just we just needed to spread the word. And how could we spread the word? We didn't have influence at that time.
Ah,
Certainly, it's if we had the community that we had now, alam mo yon, na parang everyone knows each other, like if we knew you guys back then, it would have been a little bit easier, but it was just like, what, like we were 20, 30 people who knew each other in that group, so we didn't
mm-hmm.
do anything much. So it's like, that's how I remember it. So when the show came, we went to Inares, and it's like, I don't know exactly how many people, but that's like, it's not even 100.
Mrs.
So yeah. Hello.
Hello daw. Yeah, she's busy right now. She gotta teach some brats kasi nag-tutor siya. Yung mga tutor niya galing sa Shenzhen, China. Believe it or not. But she did get paid
Oh,
naman at least.
Shenzhen,
Because
China is
she's a
15.
teacher. She's a
Yeah,
teacher, okay? Before.
good.
Now, on the part, alam mo dapat kung hindi nagiging messy yung buhay ko at the time, I would have discovered this one earlier. I had no idea that this was actually existed. Kasi parang iba yung interest ko at, well, hindi maganda yung buhay ko way back then. Even 20 plus na ako, yung magta-30 like that. You know, some people, despite na they did their best to be matured, some were born to be prone on doing stupid things. Me, I'm no exception. So yeah, but I wouldn't want
No
to go to
exceptions.
I wouldn't want to go too far like that because it's something personal. I held accountable for that one, to be honest, and then some others in yeah, like that. Anyway, let's get on with the Wool Josie Jam. So I need to know how many people actually watch there, even in Linares. No,
I don't know.
were
My
you
good
there?
guess would be like, I was there. I was there.
Hmm.
If you see pictures of that, I was there. I was next to OL,
Mm-hmm.
and classical Brian Leo, and Veronica Shannon were. It's so funny because like what we asked was like, if I remember Brian Leo and Veronica, who was going by Mikers that time.
Yeah.
Uh, I remembered them like specifically just asking the guys like, um, okay, so we'll help you out in like spreading the word and stuff, but can we at least like be commentators? And like, well, everyone were kids, like they thought they were like
Yeah, but
getting
at that
something
time,
good
parang
out of it.
akala nila yung ginagawa nila child's play. Even on your
Yeah,
part
yeah,
too.
yeah. Right,
Pero
right.
sa
So they
totoo,
were.
seryoso to malalaman niyo rin
Yeah,
kapag tumantanda na kayo.
yeah. That's actually what happened. So they were given like a table there with like, I don't even know, and you have to ask Veronica about this. I don't even know if the mics are working. But they were there. They had a table with mics that I don't even know if they're working or not. Tapos nasa likod kami ni OL. So we were in the audience, and my good guess would be like 70 people. That's it. That's my honest to goodness take on it.
70.
70 people
Seven
out of like
zero.
what?
70.
7-0. That's how I remember it. If I had to guess, if you have to ask me, I would say there were only 70 people there.
Shit, kasi
In a
hindi,
3,000
Kasi hindi
people.
pa na-introduce yung itong mabuti kasi baguhan pa lang kayo so halata na kunti pa lang.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah,
It
what
was
about the
happening.
wrestling ring doon? Anong ginamit nila? Boxing ring or wrestling ring?
That's another story. It was a bad ring. It's not a wrestling ring at all. I, I'm not the right person to ask kasi hindi ko alam kung ano nangyari. But when we went there early. So we had to help them prepare for the show. So we were part of the ones who constructed the ring. Like I remember specifically, I was putting the mats with like Bombay. I remember that Bombay
Very
and
Suarez.
CBL. Bombay and CBL. I was putting the mats in the
Mm.
ring, and Tajiri was there, and he was so. I remember everyone was so like, what the fuck is happening? They were testing out the ring, and I guess they just had to make do with what they had. But it was a very bad ring. And parang makikita mo na pag, when wrestlers were doing top rope moves, like, as in, gumigewang yung
Ah,
turnbuckle. It was really
oh,
scary, and it was really scary to watch.
I
So,
see.
I just think, like, they did the show, I guess, my guess was they trusted people to do things in the Philippines, but no one really did anything because no one knows what the fuck they were doing, including us. So it was like that.
At,
But
mm,
ironically, that's the genesis of the Philippine wrestling community that we have now.
mm.
So if we have so if you read like interviews with Tajiri saying he's actually the mother of Philippines, it's still right. Like it's the correct thing to say. It's historically correct because we wouldn't have been together. Like the core group, we wouldn't have been brought together without that show.
Pero sayang yung core group hindi pala tumagal kasi alam mo na. One which you're gonna tell this very tough story. Supposed to be maganda sana yung pinagsamaan ninyo. Eventually yung Josie Jam, success ba naman? O anong opinion mo?
No, no.
Yes. I remember may patikim pa nga doon kina Bombay Suarez at si Ken Warren. Remember,
Yeah,
Bombay Suarez still affiliated with PWR, although I cannot be too damn sure kasi he's a family man and he's quite busy in his business and some stuff
I
like
don't.
that. And
He
also si
shouldn't
Warren
care that
Molina.
much.
Huh? Hmm?
The Bombay shouldn't care that much. If
Hmm.
I know the guy, we're not. I haven't talked to him in a very 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 long time, but I don't think he cares that much now. I
Okay.
mean, he has a good job. I don't know. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung ano niya. But the last time I spoke to him, he was becoming a very good chef, which is one
Mm-hmm.
of his dreams. And he was like, now he has a family, and he should think about that. Um,
Mm.
you were talking about the Bombay Suarez and Ken Warren spot. I remember that because we were planning about that. Like that's one of the most exciting things we were like talking about because we knew we were gonna do it. Uh, I think Tajiri went like he told our group that we can do it because he was going to announce that he wanted to teach people wrestling in the Philippines. So the the kayfabe was like the angle we wanted to do was like we Bombay and Ken Warren were fans who just stormed the ring, and people got worked with that because no one knew about it. Only the core group did. We knew that it was gonna happen, and everyone thought that Ken and Bombay were like smart, storming the ring and disrupting the show. But it's not. It was really part of the show. Um, I remember one guy who thought it was like a shoot that you could storm the ring.
I can't
And
be
he
too sure
stormed
kung
the
si
ring.
Nintendo yun hindi ko sure I know he was in this part of the yung sa Joshi Jam na to. On what I heard about stories,
It
if it's
could
true.
be. It could be. It could be him. It could be him. I can't confirm. But I remember one guy who did that. So and Bombay was telling me the story after that. Like, well, he said he like he stormed the ring. The other guy stormed the ring, and then Bombay said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And he says like a choke slam. So he took a choke slam from him. That's how I remember it.
Choke
And
slam.
yeah, I remember. And the thing I remember most was there was one Japanese guy who was in the audience. I think he's the only one who's not part of like he's if there's one legit audience in that audience, it's that guy. There's one Japanese guy there. And after the show, we we all got up in the ring and gave if I'm not mistaken, if I remember it correctly, and gave Shuri a cake.
Cake.
Cake,
Cake.
yeah. And then the Japanese guy, after the thing, like after the show, he was shouting at us, and he was like, he was so mad. He was scolding Bombay and Ken for doing that angle. So he got work with with the angle that we were doing. And yun yung mga naalala ko that time.
Mm. Pero that event, despite wasn't that success, still fanning the flames para makontinue yung passion ninyo. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the... You probably... I'm not so sure if you know the real genesis behind Philippine Wrestling Revolution, on which we were part of, like less than a year. So, mind you tell that story?
Yeah. Okay. So I was part of the four group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were there were eight of us. There were eight of us,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were planning to run the promotion, and they were training in. I guess that's still where they train the PWR now. The
Fit,
one in
sa Fit Plus, Bikutan.
yeah
Originally sa
yeah.
AFW na, yeah, AFP pala,
Ano?
Armed Forces of the
AFP. Yeah,
Philippines.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's the first. Yeah, thank you for
From what
reminding me.
I heard, yung ring niya, boxing ring, pero yung mat
Yeah,
niya, mababa at sabi daw parang kasing tikas ng semento.
yeah. It hurts like hell. It's like bumping on concrete. But that's yeah. I remember that AFP was where I met the JDL, Ken Warren, and who's this other? Mayhem Branigan first.
Oh yeah, him.
Yeah, yeah. So dyan ko sila una. And I remember when I went to that AFP ring, in that AFP gym, uh, JDL and Ken Warren were already doing like the spots that they see on TV, and I remember being really impressed by those two. Like
The
I just knew that
PWOGs, yes.
yeah, JDL and Ken Warren. Like when I saw them, like both of them, like doing their drills and doing the spots that they knew how to do in the AFC ring. It was looking back, it was really really great. So that's the first training place that they had. Tapos lumipat nga dun sa Bikutan, dun sa Pitla.
Yes, I had some
So
stories to tell you to you later on the show.
yeah, but what I can tell you is that I went there like maybe 4 or 5 times dun sa Bikutan, and that's where I did my first wrestling box.
And
In
it
that
hurts like hell.
yeah, it does.
Well, everyone goes there for training, of course.
So yun, there that's how they did the training dun sa Fit Plus, and then we wanted to shoot some footage that we could use potentially to show it to people. Like this
Promote
is what
yung
we're doing.
PWR, right?
Yeah. So that became Revolution now. That's the first
Yeah.
show that we did.
Revolution now.
I wrote that show with Mike Shannon and Owen. So
Yes.
there were three of us. So we booked that show. It was very fun. So we did that show there. Um, and then yeah, that's how I remember things.
So, musta
And
naman
then
yung Revolution now by all means? Success naman siya in its own right or parang paktikim pa
I would
lang?
say I would say that was a success because that's what really lit the fire for
Yeah.
all of us. Parang
Dur-
parang ano, parang
Hmm.
parang that's the it's not a big show, it's not anything, but it was a show. It was a show with a script. It was a show where everyone were given finishes. It was a show where we got to test out what they were training for, and you had like moments like I remember when they were talking about that, like Apocalypse jumping from the ring to these things that we take for granted now. We saw those first there. Um, and it's so funny because when we were I remember that the main event then was like we were doing classical Brian Leo versus Mayhem Branigan, and we
Ayun,
wanted
yun.
to do a hardcore match for that. And it's like so we were buying we were buying we wanted to do a thumbtack spot. We were
Thumbtacks?
kids. Yeah, we were kids. I mean, yeah. So we wanted to do a thumbtack match, thumbtack spot for the main event. So bumili kami sa National Bookstore yung gold fastener. Like
Yeah.
you know that, right? Like yung maliliit na fastener, yung paper fasteners na gold.
Ay
Which
kids,
looks like
umulan ngayon ha.
thumbtack.
Umulan na. Yeah,
Yun na,
umulan na.
narinig ko ng ulan. Yeah. But those paper fasteners look like thumbtack from afar. So that's what we used as thumbtack. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt at all. But they did that, and they were hitting each other with like
Yeah.
cookie trays.
Cookie trays! Naalala ko pa yan.
Yeah,
Hanggang ngayon, nandun pa rin
yeah,
na. Sa PWR, yung
yeah,
mga cookie trays, ay yung mga hardcore matches whatsoever.
yeah.
Which is safe,
So that
pero it hurts like hell.
well, yeah, but it's not like. But that's the thing. Like the things the things that we are so used to seeing now in like PWR shows. I don't know if we did anything like that in MWF. I hope not. But these things that we take for granted that we cheer for, we see now in the PWR. Those were all done
Alam ko may
in
hardcore
Revolution.
matches rin din sa MWF if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah,
there
yeah,
were
yeah.
only
We, we,
few.
we did. We
Balikbayan
did a lot.
Box, yes, si ano. Frankie
No,
30 na si Moises Liwanag. Naalala ko pa
even
yan.
in my time, even when I was writing, we did the Rex Lawin versus Frankly 13 I Quit match. It
Ay,
was one of
shit!
the
Napanood
most
ko yun. One of my favorites.
one of the most brutal matches we ever did.
Sure?
But
Brutal na
yun
yan?
nga,
Alam ko may
um,
mas brutal pa dyan eh. O wala naman, no?
I don't know. The most brutal thing I've seen in person was Robin Cage bleeding from his head.
Ay, naalala ko
That's
pa yan sa Mandala Park incident yan.
yeah.
I was there,
That's the
remember?
seriously. Yeah.
Nilakad ko mula
Yeah, I
sa
saw
bahay
you.
namin
Yeah.
papunta doon sa Mandala Park, mga 30 minutes.
Yeah. I saw
Nilakad ko
you
ah.
there. I remember seeing you there. And,
Yeah.
but anyway, we're talking about Revolution now, and those are the things that we did. So we got to test out the matches. We got to test out booking the show. I got to test out structuring a wrestling show. So those are the things like all of us. And I remember it's like the I remember clearly Bombay and classical Brian Leo backstage, and we were sitting down the stairs, Like we were in Gorilla position.
Gorilla. Yeah, I remember that restaurant.
Uh,
I mean, yes.
no. The Gorilla position
Gorilla.
yung
Iba pala. Position. Medyo,
the curtain. Yeah.
yeah, the curtain, Gorilla
They,
position. I remember that.
they
Yeah,
were there, and
in honor of Gorilla Monsoon.
yeah, right. So we were there, and I don't remember who initiated the conversation, but someone said, "Hey, I think we're wrestlers now," and they were like, "Yeah, I guess so. We just did the match." And it's Bombay and Classical Brian Leo. They were the ones who were talking about it. Um,
Mm.
I also remember uh, Bombay asking Raven Sloan,
Yun,
one
Raven
of the
Sloan.
the American wrestler, like they wanted to smoke backstage, and I was like, um, I was like a Jim Cornette guy who's just like, no, you can't do that. You just had the match. You had a match. Why? You think I'm gonna see you together smoking? That's
I remember the time when I saw Bombay Suarez sa labas ng I Academy. I see him, you know. So, good
yeah,
nga
right,
ako
right,
eh.
right,
At not
right,
so sure
right.
kung saan show yun. That was over 5 years ago. Wait, tama ba? 5 years ago. Yes.
5 years.
And that was
So long.
Terminus yata. The last Terminus they ever show in PWR. More on the
Yeah,
later kids.
yeah.
Yes. I think bad idea na pagkatapos ka ng wrestling saka ka nang magkaroon ng chonky sa bibig whatsoever. I think bad for
No,
your
he
health.
wasn't. I don't think it's like it's not an illegal substance. He was. We were just smoking cigarettes. It's just like
Um,
your regular cigarette.
you smoked too
Um,
once?
I still do from time to time. But there, yun. Um, Still a funny story. We did those, like, if you saw those posters for Revolution now, we took pictures sa CR ng Fit Plus.
Shit. Yung mga
Yeah.
promos, ganun?
Yeah. We shot the promos sa CR ng Fit Plus. So yun yung fun memory. And it was really fun. That show, Revolution Now, was also the first time I met Mr. Lucha personally.
The man who is
And
Mr. Lucha.
yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Lucha, Tala Halia. I don't remember if Robin Singh was there.
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
I know Tarek and
But
Tarik will be joining there at
Tarek
one.
was there.
Yeah.
Tarek was there. Tarek was
Yes.
there. He was one of the. Tarek was there because he was one of the camera guys. He was like holding a camera guy. He was holding a camera, and whenever the top rope would pop out of the ring, merong isang part na hinawakan niya yung top rope while everyone was like doing the spot para lang hindi matigil yung match. It was fun. It was really fun. Filled with a lot of fun memories. That will always be like one of the best wrestling memories for me. That PWR.
Mm-hmm. Okay, time for some. Alright, now where were we? Yes, after the revolution now, alam ko nagtetrain pa yung mga chikiting na yan, yung mga OG sa PWR at the time. But have you ever thought na training mo na ng 1 year bago kayo makaroon ng show whatsoever? Pero I need to know, sino may idea na minamadali nito kaagad without na 111% na full train at talagang condition na yung mga guys na to?
No, Revolution Now? Whose idea was it to ano? Is that yun ba yung tanong?
Revolution or before Renaissance?
Before Renaissance. I remember Renaissance because I remember I still wrote that show with OL.
Yes.
I wrote Renaissance with OL. So, ang nangyari kasi was, after Revolution Now, of course, nothing much amounted to that. Kasi, I don't know, the footage wasn't that good, of course, because who knew what they were doing. No one knew what they were.
Hindi pa
No
na-release
one
to
about.
even to this day. Maliban yung sa mga short clips ha, mga
Yeah,
kasi
yeah, yeah. Short
in
clips.
all
Yeah.
in one nila. Sana
Yeah.
ang complete matches pa talaga kumpleto yung palabas na pero it didn't happen.
I don't, I don't even know who has like full footage from
Mm.
that show. But anyway, so in between all the drama with the Mike Shannon happened. Um,
Yun. My channel kind of told me that one, but I would like to know
yeah,
your own account kasi the guys kind of complain about the way he booked. In particular yata, CBL and kasi doon nata yung nagsimula yung creative differences doon aside from the politics like that kasi parang ewan ko ba kung ano yung issue nila sa booking ni Mike Shannon kung ano yung hindi sila kakampante.
I I think more than anything,
What do you think?
um, more than anything, it was a difference not just in creative but like personality.
Oh,
They
okay.
were just like there was a lot of like we all had different personalities. And even before, even nung time na yon, I always tried to stay in the middle. So I talked to a lot of people from the other side. I talked to Mayhem Branigan. I talked to CBL. I talked to Mike. I talked to Mike Shannon. So I'm in the middle of everything.
Oh, wow, tough.
Uh, so it's like CBL's gonna call me up like at night and say, he Mike already were giving suggestions on what to do with the next show and stuff. I said, okay, so what's your problem with that? And he'd tell me his problem to that, and then I'd go to Mike and say, no, this is what they think. Maybe we could have a compromise. So I was always that guy. So creatively, I thought it was like if it's just a creative problem, it wouldn't have been a problem. It's just a creative difference, wouldn't have been a problem. I think it's a clash of egos, it's a clash of personality, and if you ask CBL now, he'd be the first one to tell you that it was a clash of egos that unfortunately led to something like that. I don't want to go into detail with this because it's been a story that's been told
It's
again
really
and
told
again.
that. Yes.
Yeah. So
Mm.
but I was just reminded of that because I remember after Revolution now that happened, and then I had to go to Hong Kong.
Yes. One
I
more.
had to
Yeah. What's
yeah
got
I
into you
had to
motivate to go Hong Kong all of a sudden?
no uh well I was always I am a Hong Kong resident.
Oh yes.
And I've had a theater career in the Philippines. I decided just I want to try going back to Hong Kong and maybe and building a life in Hong Kong.
Mm.
So personally, I had to earn, and my girlfriend at that time pushed me that I had to have a more stable job. And I thought, okay, if we want money, then there's no other place to go. But I
Mm.
could go to Hong Kong. That's where I live anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
I went here in 2013, and the last thing I did, and I remember this perfectly. The last thing I did before I got to that plane was go to Fit Plus and see the PWR thing for the last time.
Last time. That
Um,
was 2014, right?
2014, yeah, 2014.
That
So
was
about like,
before Terminus, tama?
yeah, kasi pumunta ako dito ng August 31,
Mm.
2014.
Okay.
So probably a day before, I was in Fit Plus, and I was
That was before Renaissance, kung hindi ako nakakamali.
yeah,
August,
before
kasi
before
Renaissance
before
September pa yun.
Yeah, that's why it's there. So I went there because we were already writing Renaissance, if I remember it correctly. And then I remember, I was giving notes on how the guys were cutting promos. I was talking about how they could, um, my suggestions on how their characters can work, what directions their characters can take. And I remember Robin saying,
Ayun,
Robin
Robin
saying,
Singh was part of the
yeah,
PWR
Robin
once.
saying, yeah. We were there, and then I was talking to Robin Singh, and he was like I can't understand what he was saying, and like I was asking Robin Singh, what do you really want to be, right? Like, what character do you want to be? And his answer was, I want to be a spider. Okay.
Spider-Man or Spider?
No, he just wants to be a spider. It's not even Spider-Man. He wants to be a spider, and he wanted to be a spider. And so yun, bata pa ni Robin St. Dennis. And
Yes.
I remember the last thing, uh, before I left, I was talking to JDL, and we were talking about like the promos and stuff. And I remember telling him that he, to me, JDL would always be, if I was booking JDL, he would always be a babyface. And I remember telling him that. But he wanted to be a heel. And he was working with like the Alipin thing.
Ah, yes.
Um
Para sa pelikula, ah.
yeah, yeah, right. And it's like a Alipin thing. And I said, I I don't know, but it's like your aura is so likable. And I told him that. Like, your aura is so likable. Your face is like, you I always want to see you smile. And so, if I was booking this thing, I would prefer that JDL is a baby face. And when we worked together, because we worked together in MWF, right? Um, the first thing I told him was that, when we were talking about the angle that we were going to do, so kausap ko si JDL, and I said, okay, I don't know if you remember, but I told you that if I was gonna book JDL, he's always gonna be babyface. So I'm gonna book you as a babyface, and I'm gonna book Mr. Lucha as a heel. And that that's a big callback to the last thing I ever told him when we were in PWR. That if I was booking you,
Yeah.
I'm going to always make you a babyface.
Eh,
So yun,
one
that's
question
the
na, one
story.
question.
Yeah.
Diba, nagsimula sila mag-training mga sometime in early of 2014, tama?
Yeah, around that time. Around
And
that time.
then, kakaroon na sila ng show kaagad, I mean main show, on the month of September. Haven't they thought na it would be the best kapag 2015 sila magsimula, parang tama yung timing? I mean, whose idea na pinupush forward na agahan yung show nila despite na hindi pa 111% yung wrestling training nila, by all means.
I can't remember whose idea that. But it's
Ah,
probably all of us. It's probably all of us.
sabi natin na
Uh,
mamadali kayo.
yeah. It's
Ouch.
probably everyone wanted to, like, we were on a high because Revolution now, we were all happy with how Revolution now turned out as a show. We were happy. We were all high on it, and everyone just wanted to do a show. So probably we were all in agreement that, okay, let's do a show. So that's probably why. And no one said no. That's
Wow,
probably
wow.
why it was that. It's like, okay,
It's like there's a
because
portion
who's gonna say
na
no?
hindi nila alam na they're kind of breaking the tradition, you know. Pag maging professional wrestler ka, you have to train your ass off for 1 or 2 years. Pero 1 year, I think that would be reasonable as long as kaya mo. Pero in a short amount of time, pang even in your own standards, it's still incomplete. Am I that correct?
Yeah, in my standards, it's really, really incomplete. And by nung time na to, I was already friends with Ho Ho Lun because we met here in Hong Kong. So I was already friends with Ho Ho Lun. Ho was asking me, also, what's happening with the PWR thing, and I was like, we wanted to do a show, and he's the one who would say, why are you doing a show? You're not even trained yet. Hmm? Everyone wanted to do a show, so why not do a show? Uh, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's also sila Mike Shannon who went to Makati Cinema Square first to check out the play. But
Mm.
don't take my word for it. Don't
Okay.
take my word for it. That's how I remember it. I know that they were before Renaissance, and they were the ones who talked to the venue, and that's why even after that thing, when MWF was starting out, Mike Shannon was still the one who negotiated with MCS. That's why the first MWF shows were in MCS. That's how I
Okay.
remember it.
Ay, kids,
Yeah.
ha? Hanggang dito muna tayo ngayon. End of the part 1. Pupunta tayo mamaya sa part 2. So,
Oy!
don't go away.
Okay.
May patalastas na dating.
Okay.
Pero pag walang patalastas, don't worry. Hanapin ko yung nagpasimula ng patalastas na to at upakan ko. Just to show to the world, I'm not that soft and merciful. Be right back after this, whatever messages is.